sports fans out there. Welcome to our podcast. This is Eric Johnson, the brand.
And this is Aaron Thigpen, the source. EJ, what are we talking about today?
Hey, we're going to talk about something that seems to come up really a lot now, Aaron, is the subject is waiting for the college to call you. And I see a lot of athletes out there who think that the colleges are going to come and search them down in the summer, track them down, watch them at every event. They're going to be there. Yeah, they're going to pick me up and they're going to give me a scholarship right on the spot. And if I don't hear from them, they're going to call me. They're going to do something. They're going to send an email to me or they're going to call me. Boy, that's a misnomer. That is not how this thing goes, Aaron. And it's crazy out there. But a lot of baseball players, I see it, a lot of different athletes in different sports think that that's just how it is now. And at this point in sports, I do not believe it's like that now. What's your take on that, man, a little bit? I don't think it's like that, man. I'll give you my viewpoints after, I hear from you. I'll give you my 3 cents, as I call it.
Yeah, a couple of things just kind of popped in my head. One is, I think there's apprehension. So there's probably an intimidation factor on the part of the kids and the parents and how to approach a coach. And then also, I don't think everyone really fully understands the process and how athletes, move on to the next level. I mean, they hear stories, but again, we even talked about it with Noah Zirkle.
Right.
On our last podcast about, everyone's path is different. And so what that means is maybe you have to try a variety of different things to get to where you want to go. And for some athletes, maybe a laid back sort of, strategy might work for them, especially if you've got the talent level that kind of speaks for you.
Right. But,
again, I always use the term, us mere mortals, us in that everyday journeyman type of athlete.
Right.
You probably got to figure out ways to do more. Now, I haven't said it out loud, but you can probably get the take that I'm not a big, social media promoter kind of guy,
right.
And
right.
So I'm not a big fan of that with athletes doing that because I just don't really think it shows that much. And I think maybe because I see the excesses of it, I don't, that maybe turns me off a little bit.
Right.
But the other thing is, and we did a podcast on this, I was trying to look it up real quick.
Right.
A couple of years ago, but you guys can look it up, but but basically talked about how to talk to a college coach, how to talk to a college recruiter. And you guys should go back and listen to that. And I think that is probably key. These parents and these athletes don't know how to talk to these coaches and don't know how to approach them. So my thing is, you don't have to, you don't have to have a hard sell or anything like that. But for instance, if you're going to show up at it, if you're going to take the time to go to a showcase, spend all that time and money, the coaches are there that you want to be in front of, then, you may want to find a way to be able to engage them, not do a whole campaign about your kid for 30 minutes, an hour, but maybe just get your spiel together where it's just a quick introduction. It's just a few words, couple of minutes, say, hey, I'm the parent of such and such, or hey, coach, my name is, Aaron Thigpen. I go to XYZ high school. I'm interested in your school. Just wanted to introduce myself. Here's my number, on my jersey, I'm number 429. I'm
right.
with the shortstops, love it if you could check me out. And that's
wow.
it. And say, hey, goodbye. Nice meeting you.
Right.
Or see you around later, see you around the campus. Something like that. And so I think the athletes need that sort of practice, and maybe even the parents. Because again, to be fair, a lot of parents haven't been athletes before. And again, our generation, if they're of our age, it was different. They kind of had to find you, or you kind of just had to walk on campus and that sort of thing. Whereas now they're probably coaches and recruiters are being bombarded at all sides. They're getting thousands of emails. They're getting, I almost said faxes. They're getting thousands of emails. I'm showing my age.
That's all right. That's all right.
They're getting DMs. They're getting all of these things, and I think athletes think that's the way to reach them. And I'm not quite sure. I think you could probably help them navigate that better than others, but I don't think the coach at USC or UCLA is opening up emails. I mean, just think about it. You've got a baseball program to run, and yes, you have people who handle your recruitment stuff for you, but you just imagine the volume of emails that coach must get over the course of a day, a course of a week, a course of a month. It's just not realistic, I think, for you to think that a coach is going to answer an email. But again, our subject is waiting for the call. So you also don't want to think you're going to just be discovered, because I think that's the myth. The myth is, hey, they're going to find me. These coaches are going to come on the campus and they're going to find me. Well, I mean, if you look at how many high schools are there in California, what, 300 something, 400? I don't know. How many of them have varsity baseball teams? How many club teams are in California? It's just not realistic to think that you're going to be discovered,
Right.
So you've got to figure out, hey, what's my strategy to get myself out there, do it with, some integrity and some taste, but most importantly, be effective. So I don't know, long answer, but
good answer.
Where my mind is going right now.
No, Aaron, good answer, man, because I just, as I go in my journeys, my travels around the country and talk to college recruiters on a regular basis, this comes up a lot. Man, I'm all over the place. I can't see anybody. I gotta go see this guy. And, I'll tell you something really interesting, Aaron, is that, when players go to these tournaments, they have one college recruiter from a university will go out for 2 days, okay? And then the other one will come in after that person's there and go out for another 2 days. So the same guy could not be watching you, and you could be easily missed. I just got on my cell phone just probably 25, 30 minutes before we got on, Aaron. I had a college coach from a Big West school contact me and say, hey, EJ, what guys should I watch this week? And, I gave him a list of names. I said, we'll have a roster for you and all that stuff. But I go, are you going to be there Saturday and Sunday? He goes, no, I'm only going to be here for 2 days. So I'm going to try. Hey, it's one shot and done. Like, this guy comes and watch you one game. You get 2 at bats because you got to go watch somebody else. Your 2 at bats aren't good, and then that's his impression of you. Or you finally got a ball hit to you and it was a kind of a tough play and you mishandled it. And that guy's not good. The other guy made that play. I mean, sometimes it's a one-shot look opportunity. That's why I think that if you're waiting for those colleges to come, this was by chance. He called me and I had talked to this coach a while ago about where we're going to be, but he reached out to me today. Today's Wednesday. The tournament starts tomorrow. And so I'm saying is that if he hasn't called me, then what about all those athletes on our team that want to go to that school and haven't contacted that person yet? And just thinking that I hope they're there. I hear a lot of this, Aaron. I hope whatchamacallit's there. That school's there. I hope. Well, why haven't you sent your schedule out to them? Why haven't you contacted them prior? Say, I'm going to be at these 3 or 4 events. Are you going to be there? What are you thinking? Are you going to be there? And then I could go back and say, hey, you're not going to be there. Do you have a a showcase at your college campus, I could come and be seen by you more on a regular basis. You have a 2 or 3 day one of those events, and majority of them do. But athletes have a tendency, Aaron, to be shy about calling the coach. And I think athletes have to call the coach. It doesn't do anything but help them. It's a great way to introduce yourself and talk, get to know a little bit about the coach, get to understand a little bit about the school. I don't get that sometimes, Eric.
Right now, I mean, what are the chances that an athlete will be able to get a coach on the phone, do you think?
If they get their number, Aaron, if they get the coach's number, which they can, it's very accessible these days, they can. And a lot of times they will call, and I tell athletes this, hey, call that coach, tell them you play for this team, leave that coach's number. So if they miss you, then they'll call your coach and say, hey, listen, have such and such call me at this time. I am available. But athletes have to put their best foot forward in doing that, leaving a message saying, hey, listen, can you text me back? If within the NCAA rules, of course, July 1st, your junior year, they do that. But what I'm saying is that athletes don't take the chance of doing that.
Right. Okay.
They just don't take the chance. And that's why it comes back to our subject, waiting for the college to make the call.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Look, the blue chippers, they're getting calls. They're finding that. But there's only 1% of the blue. What about the 99% of the other guys that make the roster of the college team? Right. You got 2 blue chip guys. That's it. Now, what about the 33 other guys? Or these days, the 38 other guys, on that roster? Well, I think athletes have to reach out and be conscientious about it and don't be afraid. Just go ahead and say, hey, listen, I just want to call and just say, hey, how you doing? Right. How are you doing? I just want to introduce myself. My name is such and such, and I play here. What are you guys doing these days? How are you recruiting? Are you recruiting a player in my grade class, or whatever? But that's how athletes can find a lot of answers and trying to understand, what's going on. But again, it goes back to our subject, Aaron, waiting for that call. The call's not coming, guys. It's hello out there. The call doesn't come as often as you think. Now, I will say this, calls are made, but they're not made every day. Colleges aren't calling you every day. Colleges aren't hitting you up every week. It could be 2 weeks from now. I had an athlete, Aaron, who I've been telling this one university about. They finally got back to us 5 weeks later and said, hey, I'm sorry, I've been very busy, been all over the place, but I'm interested, Mm-hmm. And I tried to tell that athlete, keep calling that university because they're going to be there. Call them. The athlete didn't. The coach reached out to me and says, do you have this information from the player? Do you have their contact information? I'm like, whoa, I thought I told that player to call them 5 weeks ago. So they already had readily available. So, that's, I think a lot of times, Aaron, and I don't mean to keep going on with this, but, athletes really have to step up to the plate. You got to toe the rubber and start saying, hey, here's my fastball. Here's my best swing. I'm going for a college coach. Here I am. I just want to talk to you a little bit and get to know you a little bit and not be afraid of that moment,
Well, I mean, there's the saying, closed mouth doesn't get fed. So, I think that's pertinent in this instance. But you also mentioned something about, only 1% are blue chippers. Right. And I think that may also be the problem for some athletes, is they think they're that 1%. And so that's why they're waiting for the call.
Right.
And so maybe athletes and parents aren't necessarily really quantifying their athletes' abilities in the grand scheme of athletes that are out there. So I'm not talking about your kid who's hitting 300 in their high school conference, right. And we talk about it before, there's levels to all of this, and what types of teams and activities is he participating in? Is he in an area code? Is he in the national team conversation? Is he on? you know, the perfect game, you know, high select, you know, that sort of thing. And all of that kind of comes back to a thought that I had when you're talking about earlier, and you gave the example of how you know, talked, a coach called you, or you called the coach and said, hey, look at these guys. And there's a commercial, you know, I talk about these commercials, but a commercial, and it's New York Life. And their slogan is the company you keep. Okay. And what I mean by that is, what you basically were saying to me is, what's your network? And what's the quality of your network? And so, you know, I would define your network as, what type of teammates do you have? Are they good teammates? Can they advocate for you if they're the type that are being looked at? Your coaches, what's the pedigree of your coaches and the reputation of your coaches, where they're held in high regard by these college recruiters, and will say, hey, you know what? So-and-so at XYZ high school, he's a solid guy. He's going to give me the real skinny on his athletes.
Right.
You know, what activities are you participating in? Are you going to the right showcases and camps? And, you know, are you going in, you know, what's the quality of that sort of thing that you're doing? And I don't mean, you know, quality of your team and organization as one that's winning, because I think that's the criteria that a lot of athletes and especially parents use. And I get it. It's the simplest one to look at. Hey, if a team is winning, they must be good. And so the coaches must be doing something good. But that's only one part of it. Like I said, what's the pedigree? What's the reputation of the coaches and the organization over time in producing quality athletes, collegiate athletes, athletes who, you know, are good people as well as good athletes.
Right.
You know, so I think all of that plays a part, because then it allows you, you know, that network allows you to network, you know.
Right.
A great teammate who is, you know, a 4-star athlete might be willing to say, hey, coach, you know what? I know you like me. Are you guys looking for any first baseman? we got a great first baseman on my team. You might want to take a look at him, you know. Those sorts of things. Even those parents out there who are dialed in, you know, are you dealing with the type of people who will say, hey, you know what? I know you're looking at my son for shortstop. We've already committed, but you know, there's this kid across town, or he has a buddy that plays shortstop at this other school. You guys might want to take a look at. So I think it's all about, like I said, the company you keep, and what's the quality and of that company in terms of your friends, associates, all those people who are kind of in your athletic circle. And I think, you know, a lot of parents just join organizations because, one, they're winning, two, they're popular. Popular is different than, you know, I always say, you know, as a trainer, I can be popular, I can be good. I'd rather be good, you know? So you got to kind of peel back the layers and really look at, hey, what are these relationships that I have in our building? And what are people saying about these people? Because everyone doesn't win all the time. There's organizations go through ups and downs and that sort of thing. But you want to look at, you know, track record over time. And that's where I think that isn't held as in as high regard as maybe what's the latest flavor.
Right.
You know? It's like, oh, hey, you know, so-and-so had this kid on their team last year, so everyone hops on that team. You know,
right.
Or this team won this tournament last year, so everyone hops on that, you know, that team. And it's like, well, hold it. What about all of these other factors? And Are they willing to advocate for you? You know, and are they going to, given the opportunity? You know, it's kind of like I tell a lot of my athletes as they're starting to move into professional sports, and we talk about agents and representatives. I said, you know, once you get to a certain level, you're good enough, and your agent should be able to pick up the phone and make things happen when they're not happening for you. That's the measuring agent. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to help an athlete who's already producing, you know what I'm saying, is already running on all 4 cylinders.
Right.
What can you do for them when everything isn't going well, or they didn't have a good season, you know, or they may have had some setbacks? You know, do you have the juice to pick up the phone to convince somebody to give them opportunity?
Right. And
that comes from not necessarily athlete's reputation, but from that agent or that coach's reputation.
Absolutely.
And those are the people you need to have in your circle.
The Company You Keep by Aaron Thigpen.
I stole that from New York Life.
Man, hey, boy, what a powerful message. Way to end this thing, Aaron. What you said, man. I mean, I love what you said there, man. So, hey, for all you people out there today, thanks for listening, because Aaron gave you the secret behind a lot of this. So glad that you guys joined us. This is Coach EJ, Eric Johnson, the brand.
And Coach Aaron, the source. We'll see you.